Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Sex, Drugs, and Soul. We're recording on a soulful Sunday. I have
Oh.
Anthony here. So pumped.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. How appropriate that we're recording on a Sunday.
I know. I was thinking that on the drive over
So
here. We've got some things in store for you guys.
Buckle up.
Yeah, I want to open up with first off, I have my questions over here just in case I
Love
need
it.
them. So, and I'm not, yeah.
Ask
And
away.
but I wanted to ask you what's turning you on right now,
Right.
or like making you feel the most alive in
Great
this
question.
moment.
I love that. So the first thing that comes to mind is I've been diving into this world of Tantra for a while now, and how fascinating that is because beforehand, my life was entirely in ministry. I was a pastor for like 17 years. I still technically am. It's funny. The way that ordination works is fascinating to me, but there's a group of people that basically said like, yeah, you're good. You can go do ministry wherever it is that you are. And I'm like, hot. So so kind of that really is what's alive for me is what does it look like to be doing this ministerial, this service, this work in the world that I'm in now, which is really fascinating. So the way that that looks, at least, and the way that it's being a really big turn on is that I've had so many people approach me with this word that I'm the safe masculine presence to be around. And that has led to a desire for more like sensual and sexual experiences. And that's wild for me. It's like, oh, wow, I really appreciate your like calm and your resonance. And like usually in the church world, it'd be like, oh, like I can learn from you. And like I want to hear you, preach your sermons and things like that. And like people still do want to learn from me for sure. But they're also like, you want to go? And I'm like, whoa, like I had no idea that was a prerequisite. Like if all this time I would have known, I'm like, why did nobody tell me? So I feel like that's bizarre. Like for me, I love to know that like it's the energy that's present that really makes it like my energy is so like such a turn on. I'm like, oh yes, that's what I've been hoping for. And it probably has been this whole time, but I'm just now like realizing and recognizing that. So that's super hot right now.
Cool. I'll take that.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like whenever I feel that masculine presence, that I feel safe, I can completely unravel and be in my feminine energy. And so that's definitely something that I don't think is that common that I've experienced. I can think maybe on like one hand, like, okay, masculine presence, other than like my dad,
Yeah.
like who did I feel safe around to
Right.
like really let go?
And that's so accurate because like I feel that too. It's like I'm looking for that, right? Like I know I can provide that for myself, but there's been so many conversations I've had, especially with women who are like, I can't find that. And as I've had the one other person that comes to mind for me also has a communication around that sense of like they feel like a father figure because they can offer that safe presence. And so it doesn't always result in the same thing that it's been resulting in for me lately, which is like, I feel safe to be sexual around you. I'm like, cool, great, go for it. But I also have this grounded energy that's like, I don't need that. Like, I'm really grateful that you're telling me this. Like, there's been so many priestesses lately that have said that exact thing of like I would like to be physical with you. And I'm like, cool. Like, thanks for letting me know. Like, and that's the thing is most guys would be like right now, like you want to go in the garage, like, let's just hop over there and take care of that.
I feel like you can sense too if it's like that maybe needy or
Sure.
clingy energy or wanting it or and so maybe it's a more of a turn on that you're not leading with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's absolutely fair. Because right, how many men are out there that are just like, oh, I just can't wait for the next one. Yeah. Like a little chipmunk, like I'm gonna stuff as much as I can in my mouth. Like, here we go. But yeah, that's not the way I enjoy that, right? It's like there's no attachment there. It's like, okay, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But like I'm not trying to rush it, I'm not trying to push it, I'm not trying to force it. It's just like there's no scarcity there. And I think that's part of it. It is really scarce. And a lot of men are in that mindset, especially as the feminine has evolved so much over the past several years. Like there's there's been a discussion about the way the planets are. And I like those discussions because whatever it is that the planets are made up of, we're also made up of.
I
So
just
like,
saw a video on
did
that.
you
Like,
really?
yeah, I
That's
was
funny.
watching Diary of a CEO with
Nice.
Neil Tyson
Neil
on it,
deGrasse
and
Tyson.
he said, yeah, carbon or like hydrogen, oxygen,
Carbon.
carbon, like something else. And so I was like, oh, I just love that little breakdown and like love that we're part of the universe,
Yes,
you know?
literally. Whatever
Yeah,
the universe is
the
made
same
up of,
makeup.
so are we. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a going back to my pastoral days, there's a
Oh
Greek
yeah, I
term
want to
for
go there.
that. There's a Greek term for it being made up of. It's called homoousios, which is a Greek term that just means whatever it is that God is made up of, we're made up of.
Oh, I love
And it's like
that.
same stuff is really what that like word breaks down to. And it is fascinating. So yeah, that was a trip. The
Yeah. Okay.
pastoral
Okay.
world.
So I do want to rewind. Yeah. I
Okay,
love
cool.
where you're
We can
at
go
now, like
back.
minister of pleasure. Yeah. I
Yes.
know. I'm like, you gave away my little teaser. Because I was going to say, like, I know now, like, you're a community builder in Houston, like
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
tantric space, and you've been here for a minute.
Hmm.
But I want to rewind,
Yeah.
like, to get back to like those minister days.
Hmm.
And then like kind of what spurred the journey there.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious also about the moment or the catalyst to deviate and go a different path or
Sure.
journey. I'm sure, I mean, to me, there's like a pivotal probably
Of course,
point.
there's processes and there's moments, right?
Okay,
No matter
yeah.
anybody who changes at all
Yeah.
knows that like it doesn't all happen at once.
No, no,
But and
no. But
also,
sometimes there's like a
yep,
catalyst
and
though.
also it's like
Yeah.
the click, and you're like, oh my gosh, because
Like,
I had that when I mean I know you've had plenty of your own catalysts, and my catalyst for ministry was really
mhm.
fascinating
I'd love to hear.
because I was 16. So
Okay.
I was but a child, a babe, a wee babe.
Virgin?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For
I
a
mean, just to
while still
clarify.
after that, yeah. I was a goody two shoes Christian boy growing up. Like at the time that I got my call to ministry, I could count on my fingers and toes the amount of times I had missed church.
Wow.
I was there all the time. I
Like
was
Wednesdays
baptized.
too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like I
Okay.
was baptized as an infant in the Catholic Church
Yeah.
and then grew up Protestant, and we went every Sunday. Of course we went every Sunday. I helped lead Sunday school classes as like a
Wow.
9-year-old. I was in a Christian school. I was diving into the Bible vigorously, memorizing portions of it that I
Mm.
still have like I can remember. I have whole chapters where I could just start saying it
Wow.
because it's been ingrained into me, right? And
Mm.
and I really value that. And especially as a 16-year-old, I was very grateful because I would go to youth group, I would go to church, and people would almost respect my opinion. Like, hey, you
Mhm.
have a lot of knowledge in this area. And so, and the whole Jesus thing really stuck, right? Like
Like the teachings or who
yeah,
he was or like
all of that.
what piece of Jesus? Yeah, I'm
The
curious.
big thing that
Okay.
stuck is like the very, very basics. When
Mm.
Jesus talks, he talks about a couple different things. He talks about love, and he talks about feeding and taking care of those who don't have. Right. So those were the two big things that really stood out to me. Like love your neighbors yourself and love God.
Mm.
Right. Okay, cool. I can stick with that. And then the other thing is take care of the people around you. Like that's the
Yeah.
whole gospel, right? Gospel is this Greek word, means good news. It was what they
Ooh, I
used to
didn't know
do.
that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was this, they used to do this in Rome. And so this is where like the Christian culture took place in Rome. And outside of like the Roman world, right? So in Rome, whenever the Caesar, the ruler, would have something to say, there would literally be heralds, these people who went out on the street and screamed, good news, it's Caesar's birthday,
Oh,
right? Or
okay, yeah.
good news, we took over another portion of the world, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was what they did.
Yeah,
And
cool.
so this usage of this word gospel became this like political statement where they're like, the good news isn't that it's just happening in Rome, this is happening for the world. And I was like, ooh, I like this.
Mm.
That was enjoyable stuff for me, but there was also all the shame, all the guilt, all the sexual like
Mhm.
repression, all of the like fear and anger and all of the stuff that went along with it. So it was like, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I really don't. And so I was 16 years old. I'm sitting there at my computer on AOL Instant Messenger, which
Yes,
that'll date me.
AIM.
Right? Killing Spike 68.
Yeah.
That was my screen name. And I'm sitting there talking to this Mormon girl about Jesus. Like, why is Jesus
Wow.
important to me? It's like
Yeah.
we just had the conversation. And
I was
she's like,
having
wow.
very different AIM conversations.
Tell me,
No, yeah,
ASL? Is that what we were doing?
Cyber sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that was at that point. Oh my God. Hey, please tell me more. I've done a chat like that every now and then. Now,
Yeah.
so we're talking about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like that's what was alive for me at the time. Communicating about what was valuable to me was really important. And
Mhm.
so here I am speaking about this, like this made a difference in my life, right? Like it created me into the person that I am, and it helped me like work through some of the like shit that was going on at home. Like there was some not great stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I had this like ever-present love that I could connect to that
Mm.
was beyond me and within me at the same time.
I mean, what's not to love about that?
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
It's just also
Yeah.
coupled with all the shit. But
Yeah. I'm like,
but
I'll keep that
yeah, it's like
piece.
the love as long as you're in line. Okay. But then I'm having this conversation, and out of nowhere, I hear this voice that says, "You're gonna be a pastor." And I was like, "What? Who?" And then there was like this wash of peace that
Mm.
came over me. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I remember going out and telling my mom, like, hey, mom, I'm going to be a pastor. And she's like, oh, yeah, cool. That makes sense.
Cool.
That tracks for you.
Now, real quick, I'm
Yeah.
curious, like before that moment, did you have any aspirations to do something else? Like,
Yeah. I
as a
wanted
kid,
to
I'm
be an
curious, like,
electrical engineer,
okay.
which was
Yeah.
weird because I hated science and I hated
Yeah.
math.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, I don't
yeah.
know why, but that's what came up with.
Yeah, I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you had that moment, and then you go
Mhm.
on the journey. What
Yeah.
did that look like?
Oh my gosh. So from 16 to about 31. So
Wow.
15 years of just like ministerial training. So went to an
Wow.
undergraduate school where I was doing religion and philosophy and Christian ministry. And that was my whole thing. And I was like doing youth ministry, working with teenagers throughout that whole time. Had really incredible learnings from a couple mentors of mine. One guy, his name is Josh. We're still friends today. We play
Awesome.
D&D every Monday night online. It's great. Pastors who play D&D
Yeah.
and talk about sex. It's great. But so we did that, and he was really instrumental in kind of changing my mindset from this, it has to be this way,
Mm.
to maybe there's actually a lot wider of a scope that we can look at.
Mm.
And that was a really fascinating shift, because then I was like, okay, if there's not just this one stringent way of following all these rules, like what's in the bounds? Like he said, we moved from a basketball court, which is like pretty small, and like there's
Mm-hmm.
two hoops and you have one goal, get the ball in the hoop, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a soccer field. And a soccer field's much bigger. It's much wider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's two goals, but the way that you can get it there is a whole lot different. And so it just widened and broadened the field for me. So I was very grateful for that, and then lived my life. I got married. I was in a pastorate for a while, just being a youth pastor, learning new things. And then I went to seminary. So my graduate school, and that was in Chicago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that seminary I was the minority as a straight white man. The most people there were theologians of color and queer theologians.
Oh, wow.
So like I learned from like BIPOC and all kinds of like different perspectives. And when I say different perspective, it's like actually it wasn't really that different. It was just different from what I had been holding.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working at a reconciling church. It was a church where we hired queer people on staff, which was a totally different
wow,
world
yeah.
then. So it was a whole lot more inclusive and understanding. And it wasn't just this narrow little thing. It was like really, it was a huge broadening of all of my perspectives. But I still hold on and held on to the like Jesus narrative, because it really holds a lot of value for me, right? Like the way that we treat others is really important. And Jesus goes on and on about that, and about our inner world too. So I'm like incorporating and getting all these things, and I'm teaching and doing all this different work and having kids. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Like life's okay. And then my marriage fell apart.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was just like,
Now, did it
ooh.
fall apart before the discovery of Tantra, or
Yeah,
okay.
before. I was, yeah, that was
Because I didn't know if that was kind of like the catalyst of its demise.
You know what? It
Or,
was.
okay.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
My divorce was kind of the catalyst for all this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I had never slept with anyone other than my wife
Wow.
at that time.
Mhm.
And it was all I knew was having sex with her. And like there was one way you did it and it was fine. And the way that her and my relationship ended up was it was not great. I had a lot of codependent patterns, a lot. Because I was trying to recreate stuff with my own father, et cetera.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right? We can go on about that, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah.
So I got divorced, and I'm still pastoring, right? And what I did is I lost a ton of weight. I was like 190 pounds, and
Wow.
I'm 33, and I'm fit, and I'm like, oh, suddenly people are treating me differently because I look differently. And I started streaming on Twitch. I don't know if you know Twitch is a platform. but I'm playing video games, and then, like, there were women who would show up and just be like, "I just want you to stretch." "What are you
Oh.
talking about?" And I go like this, and they're like, like, my arms would, like, flex, and they're like, "Oh," and I was like, "This is fun. I enjoy this." It's kind of objectification, but it's not really. It's also just, like, appreciation.
Mm,
I was like, "Oh my gosh, being appreciated by the feminine
mm,
fucking rules. I
mm.
want more of that in my life." And so one summer, there was just like I had dated a couple people after my marriage fell apart, and they were all long-term relationships, like 9 months, 6 months, whatever. And I was like, I've never had a relationship that's been like so it had to be expansive and long. It couldn't just be like, "Oh, we have a fling and then it's over," right? Because I had this, like, thing in my mind where, like, there was no sex, there was no connection, intimacy without that level of committed relationship.
Mhm.
And so that was, like, ingrained and stuck in me. And I remember one summer just being like, "What if I just don't take it so seriously?
Mm.
What if I stop thinking about sex as this mandatory, you have to be bonded to this person forever?" Because that's what had been ingrained in my head as a kid, right? They told me, like, when you have sex, that energy sticks with you forever. And it's like, there are pieces of that that are true. It's like, but they would tell me, whenever you do, all the other people you've had sex with are in the room with you. And so I'm like, God, that's fucking creepy. That's awful. And also the way they described it was like God was some sort of like watcher, like, you're not doing that what you're supposed to be doing. I'm like, good God. So I'm like, okay.
Who knew God was a voyeur?
I know,
No,
right?
I'm
It's like God loves to watch. Oh, yes. But so so this I'm in my home state and just visiting family, and I have to go back early because it's like the first part of my teacher training. So actually, I have to say, my exit from pastoralship, working at a church, I was streaming on Twitch and like getting all this attention, and I started to just like become a little bit more intertwined with that. Started doing ministry, and that was height of COVID time. So doing
Mm.
ministry online and like
Oh.
bringing people into the church through like Discord, which is like an online platform, and
Yeah.
other services, and like getting like 50 to 70 people to watch our online services
Mm.
from all over because and it's like, this is really cool. And I had one pastoral friend of mine who was like, this is amazing. And then I had another one who just didn't find it as compelling. And then I called someone a horsecock on Twitch, and I ended up getting fired. It
Oh,
was the whole thing. It was like someone
here.
clipped it. Let's clip that. And then one of my students found it, showed it to one of their
Oh,
people
wow,
who was
okay.
on like the hiring and firing committee, and was like already pretty upset with like just my general being, my
I mean, is
liberalness.
horsecock necessarily a bad
I
thing?
mean, they were being one.
Yeah,
It was pretty awful the way that they were
yeah.
griefing in this game.
Yeah.
Anyway, needless to say, it got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a teacher. So I was a teacher for 2 years, and I was going back for teacher training. So
Wait, like yoga teacher?
so like
Oh,
like
okay.
high school. I was
High
teaching
school
high
teacher.
school
Oh,
for
cool.
high school
Okay.
English.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And so I'm
I was like,
going back
teacher
for teacher
training. I
training.
think of teacher training. I think of yoga for
Exactly.
some reason. Okay. High school teacher training. Okay.
I get that. That makes a lot of sense. It's like, I have to
Yeah.
remember the world that I'm in, that like teacher can mean a
Yeah, I'm like,
multitude of things.
yeah.
That's right. So I'm heading to go back, and I'm like, have a few hours before the airplane's gonna fly out. And I just told my mom, like, hey, I'm gonna go and like see an old friend of mine. Truth is, I had gotten on Tinder while I was in
Oh.
Wisconsin and accidentally matched with someone who was like, they were into casual connection.
Mm.
So like they didn't have time, they had a busy life, they had all these things going on, they had kids, but they still wanted to be able to connect. And so we both were like, well, I've got a few hours before the airport, and she's like, well, I've got a few hours off of work. And so I was like, all right. So just got an Airbnb, and then we fucked. And it was like, I was like, it was a fun connection. We were
Mhm.
flirting a few like days beforehand and all that stuff like that. And it was like, wow, that was so crazy that that just happened. Like, and she was like, you don't have to like follow up with me.
Oh,
Like, you don't have to
wow.
have any conversations
I don't have to
afterwards. Like, I'm
care.
okay with, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't need that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I might text you if that's okay. And she's like, yeah, you can. But I never heard from her again. And
Wow.
so it was just like, it was a blast. it was so much fun, and it was pleasant and enjoyable and pleasurable, and it felt good, and she was enjoying herself. I told her I was a pastor, and she was like, "No fucking way." And she's from like home state, so she's got the accent. So it was funny. We were in the middle of it, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're so hot." And I was like, "You sound like my aunt." This is like, oh, I was like, "It's okay, just get over it. It's fine. You're not." So,
Oh, so I'm curious.
anyway,
Okay. So you didn't have any like feelings of remorse or guilt or
not a
shame?
one.
Okay. Okay. I was curious because if you looked at, the world through one window for so
Hmm.
long,
Hmm.
would it have, would you catch your shirt on it, climb into another window?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the first
Yeah.
time I had sex, I cried because I was like, "I'm going to hell. Oh no!" But that was a long time ago. Before
Yeah.
that, I had like been really working on redoing my sexual ethic,
Mm,
like what I
mm,
felt was actually good for me and for what I needed to have. And so I had worked on it to the point where I was like, I'm willing to explore what this looks like and feels like. And as I did the exploring, I was like, this is incredible. So
mm,
then I started just talking to people about like, yeah, I'm okay with like casual connection. Like I'm not looking for something serious. I'm just going to enjoy the experience of being alive. And
mhm,
there were women
mm.
who were like, I don't want that. And I remember being like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to, like, just because you find me attractive and I find you attractive doesn't mean that if we match up, we have to make something happen.
Mhm.
And so I remember like starting on that path because I was reading like a lot of books about boundaries, like on codependency and how to like break that pattern. And so I was like, yeah, it's okay. Like you don't have to want that. But I would meet women who were like, yeah, I do want that. And so I kind of had, these flings throughout this whole summer where there were these women who were just like, yeah, I'll hook up with you. And I was like, great, sounds fun. And it was great. And we would hook up like 3 or 4 times and then maybe it would drop off or once or twice, or maybe it would drop off. Or I had one person that for a couple months, they just wanted to come over every Wednesday. Jokingly, I called her
Hump
Wednesday.
day.
I was like,
Hold
it
on,
was
what?
something. Oh, I called her Wednesday because she just came over on Wednesdays and that's what we did.
I actually have a funny story about that. I was
Please
talking to
tell
this
me.
guy, and he was saying like it was his first foray into like sugaring or
Yeah.
something and being a sugar daddy. And he was so new and he was fresh off of a divorce.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I met this chick. She's like, you can be Tuesday because she had a Monday, a Wednesday,
Uh,
a Thursday, a Friday, and then I think
ow.
she took the weekends off or something,
Yeah, fair.
or
That's a
maybe
lot.
maybe there's a day off or. She was like, so
Sounds
my
like the
Tuesday is
dream.
open. I was like, go girl, that's hilarious.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. Good for her. Yeah, that sounds like my dream.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So you're reading all these books on
right.
codependency,
Hmm.
healing all that,
Hmm.
like taking care of your stuff,
Hmm.
your inner work.
Yeah.
When did Tantra come into the picture?
So that was when Samantha came into the picture.
Okay,
So
cool. I
I
don't even know if I know the full story on that.
I'll tell
Okay,
you,
cool.
it's a
Yeah.
fun one. So that's where this came from actually. Is Samantha and I found each other on Tinder.
Oh, wow.
I
I
know, it
didn't
was so
realize
funny.
that.
We were, and we have this on our podcast too, but we were going through this like phase of like trying to meet new people. She
Mm,
was married at the time and in an open relationship. So I knew that. It said it
yeah.
on her profile. And I was kind of like, I've never ever experienced this before. I don't know what that's like. But I'm open to it, right? So like just that openness and like what's expansive and liberating, right? Like it kind of came in beforehand, but I didn't know it was Tantra
Mm,
then.
mm-hmm.
But as we evolved, it was like, oh, okay. So matched with her on Tinder, started talking. We're like, oh yeah, we're really into this. Like this is fun. We met and had dinner and we hooked up, and it was fun. She was great, like just beautiful, intelligent, loved to
Mm-hmm.
talk about self growth and development as we both did, and also loved kink and all the things that we were into together. So, and she got up, she got up to go take a shower after we were done, and my jaw hit the floor when she was walking away because
Oh,
her ass is incredible. I was like, there's no way that's
she
real.
does have a good
Yeah, she
ass.
does. She really does.
Sammy
Um,
got a great ass.
that's right. She does. Check out her Instagram. It's all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
So we met there and then started. She was doing an emotional intelligence training program. She had been doing Joe Dispenza and meditations, and she was just realizing like the marriage she was in just wasn't working for her.
Mm.
And it was really interesting timing because I had also come into the picture, and so it kind of looked like she was like leaving for and chasing another man. But she told me at one point, she's like, I don't know if I'm going to see anybody. I might be single. And I was like, okay, like that's
Oh.
fine. I'm totally not in love with you or anything. Like, but I did. I fell hard for her. We
Oh.
were playing guitar. I was playing guitar for her on the beach, And I looked in her eyes and she was crying from a song that I was playing.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I love this woman. Great. I don't know what to do about this because
So
she's
much for that
married.
casual connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I was like kind of seeing each other at the same time and they all just started to fade away because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I don't really want anyone else but you.
Yeah.
Like you're it. Um, and she just had this gravitas. She had this power, this strength, and this courage, and also this vulnerability. And that was she had started to do a lot of tantra stuff herself around that time, especially being in like the open community and
Mm-hmm.
E&M and stuff like that. She really dove in full hog, and everything that she dove into, she just told me about. And as she started telling me about these different tantric elements, and she went and did some of Leola's classes, and I was like, I would love to find out more about this. So we ended up going to like some of the play parties that Leola hosted, and from there, literally on the drive back from the first one, Samantha's like, "We need to do this in Houston."
Mm.
And I was like, we can do that. And all of my pastoral stuff came back. And I was like, I know how to build community.
Nice.
I've been doing it for years, actually. Like that is part of my training in seminary is to do the leadership process of what it means to build and maintain and transform community. So it just came really naturally. And we've been working at it for the past almost a year. We started in December of last year. And we've got over 100 people in the community already.
Yeah, I love that.
Me
It's
too.
super admirable.
But it's her. Like
Yeah.
we're in tandem. We definitely
Mm-hmm.
work together. But she's so passionate and she's so vision driven that she knows exactly what she wants moving forward and how to create the like she makes what she wants into a very tangible picture so that it can become reality through
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of the back end stuff. Like I help with all of the like email templates, getting everything out and like setting up the CRM so that people actually know how to get into the community and things.
Mm-hmm.
But because of our like shared dynamic and the relationship that we've built over the past 3 years now, it's like the community has been so explosive and it's all based around pleasure. Right. So,
Yeah.
and you know, because like, you
Yeah.
know, Leola's
Yeah.
foundation.
Is there, yeah, I'm curious, like, what would you whisper? What would you whisper to like, 16, would you whisper
Ooh,
anything to 16-year-old you or to
probably.
25, all those skills to like,
Mm-hmm.
implement it in
Mm-hmm.
today's space? And like you had to go on that ride. And I think I've told you this before. It's like you have so many points of reference or
Mm-hmm.
connection because you've experienced that as a worldview and that as like
Mm-hmm.
a practice. And that was your world for a long
Yeah,
time, right?
truly. I would not change a thing about the way that I got here because I wouldn't have the tools today without that. Even though some of it was really fucking hard. It was intense for moments from stuff with dad abuse,
Mm.
from stuff with spouse drama, from stuff with my own falling apart at the seams because of relationships that I had that I let define me.
Mm.
But after the transformation and seeing all of that leading up to what we got to make now, I wouldn't change a thing.
I think you said something powerful right there,
Mm.
like letting other people define you versus
Mm-hmm.
like you defining you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big
Does that stick with
shift.
you too?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, for sure. Or like the people pleasing or
Uh-huh.
becoming who other people wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the seeking of love, acceptance, validation,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff outside of myself. That part of it
Mm.
resonates for sure.
Yeah, that was what codependency was for me.
Yeah.
And like the great book by Melody Beattie called Codependence No More.
Mm.
And then there's another one called The New Codependency.
Oh, cool.
Both of them, but the new codependency in particular, they talk about how all of that is actually just based around control. That
Yeah.
codependency
Fear.
is all about control. Yes. It's like
Yeah.
and it has 26 ways that you try and maintain control. And then it talks about every single one of them. And I 25 out of the 26 because I didn't have it also talks about alcoholism and like alcoholic parents and alcoholic spouses. I didn't have that. Oh, that's the one that I was like, I don't really get that because it's called a double winner when you are both codependent like and an alcoholic yourself and you have an alcoholic narcissistic partner. It's like you got the whole package.
You signed up for the whole kit and caboodle.
Exactly.
Oh
You
my
went hard
goodness.
mode times two. Yeah. So
Yeah.
other than that one, I had every single one of them. And then
Oh,
I
wow.
journaled for years. 3 years I have journals of where I just went through each and every single one of those and kept
Wow.
finding where I was still trying to hold on to control.
Okay, I'm gonna have to give this book a little go because I remember when the first time my mom was actually, I think, the person that said something about like mind control issues, and I was like,
Ooh.
"What?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, and then, but I felt them, at the play party,
Uh-huh.
however many weeks ago
Yeah.
at Naked Soul Society.
Yeah.
I had my first shibari experience.
Ooh.
And feeling that rope or like that confinement, I immediately felt them kick in, like wanting to control it or like get out or some way. It made me
Oh, wow.
emotional.
Yeah, the triggers, right?
Yeah. And there were some other things that transpired that maybe I'll get into later at a different time on a different
Okay.
podcast. But
Hell
yeah, I
yeah.
was like, wow. Yeah, I definitely want to do another shibari session because it was
They
just
are
so,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, Rena's
And I
awesome
definitely
too.
want to, yeah, I want to do one with Rena.
Mhm.
Um, and and keep it in the not like maybe just less erotic, more
Sure.
healing or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Not
Yeah,
that the
change the energy of it.
not that there's not healing in the erotic,
Right.
but just like a different tone or intention behind it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're kind of looking at seeing where your parts will come up around that.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know
I
you know
could
parts
feel
work?
it in um yes with my therapist, but not
Sure.
as much as y'all have, I don't think.
Sure, yeah, we
Yeah.
talk a lot
And
about
I
parts work in
say
the
it. I mean,
community. Sure.
I speak into like, okay, there's a part of me that
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
or there's a part of me, that has a fear about this or a
Yep.
desire or wants to do this. So I lean into it, but I don't know all of the
Right,
framework.
and that's
Yeah.
okay. I don't think it
Yeah.
has to be, but there's definitely those pieces of us that we Samantha recently did a huge journey where she found that the part of her was actually the controller that was really her whole being.
Mm,
That was kind of like overshadowing all of it. And that's been huge for us in the discussion of as we build. It's like, look, the controller is actually really good at what they do. Really good at like keeping us in line, keeping us moving in the direction that we want to, at the detriment of like taking all those other pieces and putting them to the side or like tampering them down, which is so similar to my own story in religion. Like my controller wasn't an internal one, it was an external one.
mm.
And so she has an internal one and mine was outside. And since I've looked at the outside and been like, yeah, that doesn't really control me anymore, I don't have an inner controller like that. It's
Interesting.
very fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, I wanted to touch on this too.
Like,
Your relationship with Jesus. Has
yes.
it shifted? How has it evolved?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
evolved. It has over time.
Yeah.
The relationship that when I was 3 years old, my mother told me that I was walking around saying, "Jesus is my savior. Jesus is my savior."
Yeah.
It's just what it was. That's what I knew, right? And I evolved. The biggest evolution in my relationship with Jesus is that Jesus as the Christ had meant for me that I needed to be saved by an external force. And it has moved into now that whatever it is that Jesus is exists within me. And so my Savior does not exist outside of myself.
Mm,
And it used to be, I have to look to that cross for me to figure out what it is that I'm okay as a human being. And now it's like, no, that resides. That is residence in me. And that's a huge shift because that was again like buried into us
mhm.
from the time we were young.
I love looking at that through
Yeah.
that lens. Because for me, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, I see it as like love and Christ consciousness and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so I'm like, okay, what would love do? And I
Right.
think there's
Mhm.
nothing that I mean, I love like the pieces of the teachings of love, the treating your neighbor,
Yeah.
um, all that stuff. I even like there was something I saw a Jelly Roll post about, he's like, feed the less fortunate or the one, even he said something about the ones in prison, and
Yeah.
I
For I was
thought about,
hungry and you gave me something to drink. I was thirsty and or I
yeah,
ate something to eat, something to drink. I was in prison
yeah,
and you came and visited me. Matthew
yeah.
25:40. I still know it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I sent a letter to my friend that's in prison, and I was like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm going to tithe to you this week. I'll put some money on your books.
That's
He called
awesome. I
me.
love
Yeah.
that.
I'm
And
like,
yeah,
I'm looking out for the less fortunate.
that's right. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
huge part, and that stuff still sticks with,
Yeah.
right? So like the relationship, it's more like internal to external is
Hmm.
the relationship, but the values are still there. Like
Yeah.
I joke about this. I'm like, I'm gonna fuck you like Jesus would fuck you. Like,
God, people okay, so I posted this not too long ago and nobody really caught it. Maybe one person from back home caught it because I said something about having a self-pleasure session with Jesus, and I've done
Yes.
it. And I was like,
Oh,
"Okay, how would Jesus touch me?"
uh-huh.
And, all this stuff, and I was like, it was so fabulous. And but
Yes.
one of my friends from, like, junior high messaged me, he's like, "Kristen, insert middle name, Birdwell. Jesus would not be in your self-pleasure session." I'm like,
Wrong.
"He I know."
Absolutely. Yeah. I was what were we were talking about that at the play party that we were at last. It was like, Jesus would fuck. He would totally fuck. Like, and he'd be good at it because he cares. It's so compassionate. Exactly. And it's like, wow, if and that's really so this is funny too, that the level of devotion that is
Mm,
available from Christ consciousness is really powerful. Well, and I joke about this where I'm like, I literally have a master's degree in devotion. Like, I
mm,
know how to devote myself to this presence and this experience. Like, I've been giving and doing some like giving and receiving tantric massages
mhm.
lately. And my goal in that is to show up in that pure devotional state. And I don't really have to work very hard to do that.
Yeah.
And that's a real gift that I got from Christianity. It was like, the opportunity for me to be so deeply entwined with your divinity is I don't know how many people are capable of that. I'm sure, and I know that it's capable for everyone, but I find myself really blessed to have those combination of gifts to be
Mhm.
able to do that. And that's the energy that comes across, right? That's why people are saying like, "Hey, I would love this with you," because it is so easy for me to just drop into that
Mhm.
space. And my hope is that people can feel that level of devotion within themselves. Because I think there's no way I would have been able to do that if I hadn't devoted myself to the divine, which I at once saw outside myself and now see inside myself.
Mm.
So I have that devotion to my own spirit and my own being.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. I love that distinction too. I remember this was like maybe 2019 or 2020. I
Hmm.
was like out for a walk and I'd asked God for a sign, God, universe, spirit, source.
Hmm.
I just called him Gus for a while to
Yes.
shift the relationship because it used to incite such judgment when I heard
Sure.
that word
Yeah.
or that name. And so I was like, okay, how do I write this? But I
Hmm.
had asked for a sign of a feather in some way. And I was like walking out somewhere and I was listening to a podcast and they talk about this woman that didn't want to put a feather in her hat or something or
Huh.
rebelled against it. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I just had this like realization. I was like, wait a second. What if it's not outside of me? What if like
Mm.
actually I'm God, you're God, God's everywhere? Like, it was just this very pivotal, like, oh, wow. Do, 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 do,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. It's like what I've been searching for my entire life has actually been with me the whole time.
Ye Exactly, and, like, the funny thing is that Christianity teaches that. They teach
Yeah.
that the divine and the image of the divine is present with us from every moment that we exist,
Yeah.
and
How
then
does
so
it
it's
get so skewed then to like
I mean, religion is about
other?
control,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So organized religion is about I
Thank
want really should, it's one of my favorites, actually. It's like that yeah, that's you guys didn't do the book report, clearly,
Yeah.
but you said something about, like, Jesus being present in your, like, self-pleasure practices and things like
Mhm.
that too, and I'm just curious about that, like, the concept of being, like, fucked to divinity,
Mm.
right? Like, that is so I don't know if it's rare or not. It's not rare in my life now, but, like, I want people to experience that so badly.
Like touching God during sex or
Yeah,
like or
like,
feeling
finding
that
God in
kind of
it. Like, it really there's a great book by Rob Bell called Sex God,
oh,
where
okay.
it's Rob Bell was an author or is an author and speaker, but he was really prominent when I was going to college in 2006, 2007. Um, and he wrote a book called Sex God that talked about how like basically like sex and God are indivisible, like they're intertwined with each other, and it's a really
Mm.
brilliant book.
Ooh.
But it comes from a guy who is a pastor and was like wrote from the Christian perspective, and so people were like, "You can't read that book," but not in the college I went to. Fortunately, people
Yeah.
were really open. But like when people back home would be like, "That's not okay," and I'm like, "What if? What if?"
Yeah. What if, and like, because then it shifts to that devotional energy, or like, what if you're bringing it, your level of being and presence, to even your casual encounters. Like,
Yeah,
if you're looking for that or treating them as such a divine being,
yeah.
and like, how would things shift
Yeah, it truly would be
dramatically? I
different.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because like, it'd be so much easier to have those conversations of, like, "How do I treat you?" like have the conversation beforehand before it gets like out of control and this like, and we love out of control. We love wild and passionate. I'll take it. It's great. But I do want to have that conversation first. And there's so many people who just make these assumptions going into it and like, that they just go with what sex has always been for them instead of recognizing this is the moment. This is our moment together in time where it gets to be separated from everything else that's going on. And we get to enter into this exchange of energy with each other that really can be beautiful. And of course, like people have been doing this for millennia, right? Like I'm not the first person to come up with like, oh, I want to put God in sex. It's like that has been everywhere, like Shiva and Shakti, you know,
My
and
sister.
exactly. You like, yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. Yes, Mary Magdalene. Yeah, exactly. It's
Which I'm
ancient.
fascinated by.
Yeah, I would more into that.
Oh,
Not yet,
okay.
because I
Okay,
need to read the.
okay. Well, I just finished a book. I think it's called Mary Magdalene Revealed or something. It talks about how ancient texts or one of the gospels, not of
Okay.
Thomas, of something, another gospel, like kind of, it called her Jesus's companion. And that he kissed her on the mouth a lot or something. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
love leaning into the idea or notion that
Mhm.
they were like a divine partnership or
Yeah,
union type of
yeah.
thing.
They're called the Gnostic Gospels,
Mhm.
and they just very, very briefly because it's super nerdy, but they were set outside of the canon, which is canon just means like official text because of the other things that were in there. It wasn't the Mary and Jesus thing. It was Gnosticism was a general heresy that was like the knowledge is secret and hidden and shouldn't be imparted to everybody. And at that time, the people who were in charge of the church were like, no, like we've had this secret crap going on for a really long time. We want this to be available to everybody. So we want to put the things in there that are like, hey, this is open to you, this is open to the world. And then of course it just gets bastardized into secret
Mm.
knowledge again. But it wasn't necessarily that the church was like, no one should ever read these. It's just like this doesn't show the whole scope. And so those scopes that it does show, like I don't know, I don't remember hearing that like, oh, they burned all those texts. But even if they did, like, yeah, not great.
It's
But
good.
the
It's
church
good
has done
for
a lot of not
yeah.
great things.
It's a better story.